This is the Louis T. Network.
In the Lab Room.
Welcome, you are in the Lab Room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. It is Tuesday here in the Lab Room, which means there is some Monday night football to get to. Denver Broncos hosting their divisional rivals, the Oakland Raiders. Raiders coming off of their first win of the season, coming into this game at 1-1. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos, red hot, coming into this game, 2-0, looking to bolster their record to 3-0. And look, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine before this game, huge Oakland Raiders fan, and he was so optimistic, and he does this every single year. When the Raiders win a game early on in the season, if they win one early on in the season, he gets amped up and he gets hyped and he starts talking reckless. And he was talking reckless before this game, and I told him, hey, look, man, simmer down. This is Peyton Manning. This is Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, Juice, Eric Decker. They've got too many offensive weapons. Now, the one thing he had going for him was the fact that Ryan Clady was going to miss his first game of his career. And we know he's out for the rest of this season. But this was going to be the Broncos' first game without Ryan Clady at left tackle in 6 seasons. And so maybe there could be a little bit of trouble. The Raiders had ranked among the top teams in sacks coming into this football game. And so he was hoping they could get some pressure, maybe beat this newly inserted left tackle to the quarterback, really disrupt the timing of this offense. And I told him, look, there isn't many blitzes that Peyton Manning hasn't seen in his career. He's seen just about everything you can throw at him, including the kitchen sink. And so he's going to dissect your defense. He's going to call out audibles before you can adjust to what he's doing. He's going to snap the ball, and then he's going to have infinite targets to throw to. You don't have enough, and this is exactly how I put it to him. Do you have enough people in your secondary at the linebacker position to cover Juice, Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, and Eric Decker? Do you have enough ammunition to stop that group? His answer was, well, no. I didn't ask for an explanation as to why you do or you don't. Do you have it or not? Yes or no? His answer was, well, look, this is what, no. Do you or do you not? Well, he hit me with the Hurts. And of course, if you know the Hurts commercials, not exactly. So that means no, you don't. And we saw it firsthand. And that's the problem when you play this Denver Broncos team. Just about every week, I can ask that same question. Do you have enough to stop Juice? Do you have enough to stop Welker, Decker, and Thomas? Do you have enough to stop all 4 of these guys on the field at once? I mean, how many teams can say they're putting on the field 4 threats that are equally as dangerous on the football field all at once? Plus, not to mention, the guy pulling all the strings is none other than Peyton Manning himself, one of the, if not the best quarterback in NFL history. What can you do? You've got a maestro back there running the show, and then you've got 4 guys for him to throw it to, all of which can win one-on-one matchups, all of which can beat zone coverage, all of which are playmakers in their own right. What do you do with that? How do you stop this offense? Because they run the ball just enough to keep you honest, and their running game isn't anything to write home about, but it's just enough to keep you honest. And then if you look to try to stop the run, Peyton is going to dissect you. And he did a beautiful job in this game, did Peyton Manning, of using the snap count, of using a hard count to really get the Raiders to show their hand. The Raiders tried to bluff him a couple of times. He wasn't sold. The Raiders tipped their hand a couple of times when he gave them a hard count and go. And they showed the blitz, and they messed up. And I joked with my friend after the game. I said, you guys showed your hand, and then you acted as if he didn't see you coming on the blitz when he gave you the hard count, and you flinched or you moved and you tipped your hand. You guys acted like that kid in hide and seek that's hiding behind that narrow tree, and you can see him, but he's going to still stand there as if you don't see him, and then hope that you just run by him and don't touch him. I see you. There's no way you can hide at this point, and Peyton had already barked out one of those hard counts, got them to show their hand, and so now he's audibling, he's adjusting the routes to beat that coverage, to beat that blitz, and I think the most prime example of him beating their blitz was was a corner blitz by Charles Woodson, and Juice was lined up in the slot, and they had a linebacker over top of Charles Woodson playing about 12 yards off the football. Now, if you got any kind of football knowledge, you know that if a guy is lined up directly behind another player, 9 times out of 10, the player up in front is blitzing. The guy that's closest to the line of scrimmage is blitzing. That's why there's a player directly behind him, because he's going to be in man-to-man coverage on the guy that the person that is blitzing is covering or appears to be covering. And so it was easy for Peyton to dissect this one. Charles tried to act as if he was in man-to-man coverage. Peyton knew better. Peyton barked out a signal, and he looked at Juice, and he told them to run a crossing route. The outside man ran a slant. Juice ran a speed out to the flats. Peyton got him the ball immediately. The linebacker got over to the party late. He made a miss, walks into the end zone. Look, this Broncos team dominated the Raiders, which is what we expected them to do. They jumped on them early in this football game. I want to say it was 24-0 at one point. It definitely was 17-0 at one point. I believe it was 24-0 before the Raiders finally got on the scoreboard. And it was all Broncos all the time in this football game. Look, the Raiders, I thought they played well, just not well enough to beat the best team in the National Football League. And by the time they woke up, because, look, it is a very intimidating experience when you go up against Peyton Manning for the first time, which Terrell Pryor did in this football game. You feel like you got to keep pace. You don't want to make any mistakes. He looked tight coming out in this game early on. He looked like a guy that was trying not to make any mistakes. Instead of going out and playing loose and going out and trying to win, he was playing not to lose. And that put his team behind the 8 ball early. Peyton Manning took advantage. While they were punting, Peyton and the Denver Broncos were scoring. Your end result, 37-21 victory for the Denver Broncos. Look, it's not a lot of analysis for this game because the Broncos went out and did what the Broncos do. Score points, play enough defense, win the football game. The Oakland Raiders, I thought, were solid in this game, but they never threatened the Broncos because they came out slow. And the one thing you can't do against Peyton Manning and this Broncos team is come out slow. You might be able to hold them down. And if you come out slow, but you hold them down, then you got a shot. But if you come out slow and they get off and they're running from the start, you're in trouble. That's what happened in this game. And the Broncos take this one 37-21. Terrell Pryor did sustain a concussion in this game. And I'm not sure if the Raiders follow concussion protocol in this game because, look, he got injured. And you saw him laying face down on the turf for about a good 3 or 4 seconds before he even moved. He wasn't moving. And it's not like he was grimacing and he was flinching around. This guy was motionless on the turf, face down for about 3 or 4 seconds. Then he moved. You got to know something's going on there. You got to check him out. They called a timeout, did the Raiders. He should have been being checked out for concussion-like symptoms at that point. Instead, they call another play. They send him back out there. Now, they didn't put him in harm's way. They didn't ask him to throw the football. They didn't ask him to do anything that would put him in a position to get hit. But he still was in the game, and he shouldn't have been. And so that's something that I think is going to be looked at down the road. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Raiders were not able to get the victory here. They dropped to 1-2 on the season. The Denver Broncos go to 3-0 on the season. And this is a dominant football team right now. Someone's going to get them eventually, but right now, hard for me to see who that team will be because they're playing at such a high level on the offensive side of football. And remember, they still don't have Champ Bailey. They still don't have Von Miller yet. And they're playing well enough to win on defense as well. So this is a scary bunch, and they got it done on Monday Night Football. So that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. I'm going to tackle this quick. Extra point. A lot of 0-3 teams left after week 3. I want to break down a couple of them quickly and then get out of here. The Giants, they look the worst of the 0-3 bunch. I mean, when you go on the road and you drop a goose egg on us, and not only do you drop a goose egg on us, You give up 38 in the process. You give up sacks. You turn the football over. You've got penalties that cost you in this game. The Giants just look like a defeated football team right now. Man, do these guys look extra funky. They got to turn it up. And I hope we don't have to go through this whole Tom Coughlin, is he going to get fired or not thing. Look, this man's won 2 Super Bowls. Please spare me with the is Tom Coughlin on the hot seat nonsense and garbage that we go through every time the Giants struggle. Leave the man alone. Let him figure this problem out. Let him get this Giants football team back on track and let that be the end of it. They're struggling right now, but they still got talent on this Giants football team. They're not playing cohesive as a unit right now, and it's apparent. Everyone's playing individually, and that's why they're losing as a team, because they're not playing team football. They're struggling right now, and they got to get it together. Eli's struggling. This offensive line is struggling. The skill guys aren't getting the football because the offensive line is struggling. Look, I always say it starts up front. It starts up front on both sides of the football. Defensive line, offensive line. If your defensive line can't stop the run, that's going to set up the pass. Your whole defense is in trouble. If your offensive line cannot protect, you can't get the football to your playmakers, your offense is in trouble. So the Giants are just in trouble in general right now. You look at another 0-3 team. At least they fought, and that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had hopes for the Steelers. I thought they were going to win. I picked them to win this week. They did not get it done, but they fought. Now, look, they came out flat in this game. 24-3 is what they were down before they actually started to show some life in this game. But they showed life. They battled back. They made it an interesting game, but in the end, they weren't able to get it done. They fell 40-23. They've got a lot of questions to answer. Good to see Heath Miller come back for the Steelers, but they've still got a lot of questions to be answered, and they need help at the running back position. Le'Veon Bell is a guy that they cannot wait until he is available, because their running game right now, it stinks, and they need help running the football. And I don't like Todd Haley. I've already said this as a coordinator for this football team. Maybe somewhere else Todd Haley will work. Right here in Pittsburgh, he does not fit what they do best, and that is let Ben Roethlisberger do what it is that he does. Play that backyard, schoolyard football where he runs around, extends plays. So what if the offensive line is giving up sacks? So what if Ben is taking extra hits? This is how they play. This is how they win. He's trying to take that element out of the game, and the Steelers cannot function as an offense if Ben is not extending plays and being Ben Roethlisberger. I don't like that dynamic at quarterback and offensive coordinator right now. And until they fix that, until they come to some kind of middle ground, that team is going to continue to struggle in 2013. You look at another 0-3 football team, the Washington Redskins. Wow. This team had a prime opportunity to get a win at home versus the Detroit Lions, and they simply self-destructed. A fumble in the fourth quarter, a dropped touchdown, a dropped 57-yard touchdown in the end zone in the fourth quarter. They couldn't get the stops when they needed to. Even though this defense got stops in the third quarter, they didn't get the stops down the stretch when they needed to get the football back to this offense one last time. And they're struggling defensively, and they're not scoring enough points offensively. They're 0-3 right now, and they've dug themselves a huge hole in 2013 as well. So there are a lot of 0-3 teams. I could talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we expected them to be 0-3. I could talk about some other 0-3 teams, but to me, those three really stand out because you did not expect those three football teams to be 0-3 at this juncture of the season. So a lot of 0-3 football teams right now struggling to get their act together in 2013. You could throw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in there if you like. They shouldn't be 0-3. I didn't expect them to be 0-3 right now either. At worst, I had them beating the New York Jets in week 1. They blew that opportunity, and now some things are going to change in Tampa Bay. I just don't know what you can change at this point to make a difference. I just think this football team isn't very good offensively. I don't like the play calling in Tampa Bay. I think that's where the crux of this whole problem is offensively, is the play calling. They're running on first down, they're running on second down, and then they're asking Josh Freeman to bail them out in third and long. You can't do that. You cannot be predictable as an offense, and that's what this team has been offensively to start this season. So Those 0-3 teams struggling right now, huge hole to dig themselves out. Look, there's still a lot of time left in this season. We've got 13 games left for every single team in the National Football League. There are a lot of games left to be played, and these teams are not dead yet. But I tell you what, every single one of them are on life support right now. And so, with that being said, I thank you for joining me here on this Tuesday edition of In the Lab Room. I want to see you back here tomorrow when I break down my record, the Pick'em Weekly for Week 3. I give you my record and I talk about what I'm looking to accomplish in Week 4. And, of course, the Sole Survivor on Wednesday. So join me back here on Wednesday in the Lab Room where, if it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.
While you're here, go ahead and sub up.
In the Lab Room.